I think it was before 2018. I had students comparing me like as an Obama teacher or like LeBron James. And then when Black Panther dropped, oh my God, when Black Panther dropped, it changed to teacher, Black Panther, teacher, Wakanda teacher. Now I teach elementary students. I'm like, okay, I hate these kids right now.
Hey everyone, it's Chris Colson and Laria Reed with Four Friends in a Book podcast, and we're here introducing a new segment that we're starting up for this season 2, which we're calling the Author Spotlight. So typically, you guys know you've been following us for a while. We typically are on the book review side of things, but now we want to actually have a discussion and kind of unpack with authors about their experience, becoming published, going through this whole writing process. And so today, got a special guest. We're here with my brother Phil. We've kind of connected via social media, and he's actually our first guest on this Author Spotlight. So we kind of want to unpack with him and get into his head a little bit as far as his process, writing books, and kind of getting into that. So actually, Phil's actually in Korea, so that's kind of how we want to start this thing off. So Phil, give a little background about you being in Korea, how you got there, what that experience has been for you thus far, or how has it been for you?
Yeah, so for those who don't know me, I'm Phil. I go by the Blerd Explorer on Instagram and TikTok. I'm mostly a Black travel content creator and author, recently new author, really. I moved to South Korea back in May 2016, and I've been here ever since doing ESL, teaching English as a second language.
Cool.
Okay. And so, again, getting into being in another country, and like I said, recently, get into authors and writing and that sort of thing. But more importantly, I guess, how has the experience been in another country and living abroad? How has that been for you? And how has it shaped your experience or your preconceived notions prior to you arriving there?
Experience-wise, I think for me, living abroad, it's my niche. I think this was something that's my calling. Some people have different callings. Some people are designed to get a house, get married, have kids, a house and a dog, right? All they are. That's me. That's not my cards personally. And plus, I always wanted to travel as a kid, so that, and I just know how to do it. Because at least for me, growing up, most of the times I ever heard or seen a Black person travel live abroad was because they're in the military, almost always.
Right.
And this is for Black folk. Can I ask you guys something? Would you say the same thing for you?
Yeah, I mean, I like to travel, and we kind of we've touched on it a little bit in our podcast as far as this all kind of liking to travel. Of course, COVID has kind of put a wrench into that whole travel process. But I have visited a few other countries, but I think you're right as far as even living abroad. Usually, that's kind of reserved for people that may be in the military or have jobs that takes them kind of outside of those bubbles. But it's not as common, I don't think, for our culture to step out
exactly
in those areas.
Right.
Exactly. And now, how I got this job, end up teaching, was I was in my last semester of college back in 2015, fall 2015. Being a senior in university, you're sending out resumes, going to job fairs, nothing was clicking. And then one day on my university job board, I saw an ad about teaching English in South Korea. So I thought, okay, I'll give it a shot. So I did my research into it, looked into it. This is back in 2016, 2015. So looked into it and I said, okay, yeah, this is what I want to do after college.
Okay, cool.
Wow. So where are you from originally? I didn't get that part, Phil.
Yeah, I'm in South Carolina.
Okay, awesome. Well, my question was, what inspired you to be a writer or to be an author for, I know you just talked about how you didn't hear of that many people traveling or whatnot, but was there a specific inspiration for writing a book about it and creating content about being a Black traveler?
Well, in terms of my travel as the Black travel content, it was due to the lack of Black representation in the travel tourism industry.
Okay.
Now this is like during like the late 2010s, of course. Keep in mind.
Okay.
During that time, even before, and like I barely saw any black person blogs, YouTube videos of anybody who looks like us traveling abroad.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of one of those situations where it's like, okay, either put up or shut up, basically.
Mm-hmm.
It's like basically one of the scenarios where it's like, okay, if you're not gonna do it, somebody won't do it, no company's gonna do it, I'll just do it my dang self. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And as far as my first book, writing up becoming an author, that was actually not surprising due to COVID in 2020.
Gotcha.
I remember like I was up in school one day and I've been thinking for a while, thinking, okay, what's a little something I can do on the side or a little change on the side that hasn't been done before. And no one, I thought about it, like, wait, no one's really wrote a black travel guide for another country. Like I've seen books for like solo women and solo men travel guides. And those are great, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But there was nothing for like, say, a general travel guide for people of African descent. So I thought, why not try go ahead and do that? So I spent that day writing down notes about where I currently lived at the time in Incheon. And then I found out later that for the summer originally, we're going to be put on leave because of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And so I took that summertime last summer to go out almost every day, going out, taking pictures, doing research, all that jazz. And that's what led up to writing the book, our first book.
Wow. That's awesome.
Cool.
How was that process too? The process of writing it, was it tedious? Was it a lot? Or and also let me ask you this before we can get into that, because you got my head turning. What countries do you have involved in this? Is it just European countries or Asian countries? Is it like a specific country in particular, or?
Just specifically South Korea right now because I live here.
Okay.
It's much easier to write about. I might do more in the future, but again, we got to see how it goes post-pandemic, of course.
Of course. Okay. But back to my original question. So how was that process? Was it tough? Was it hard with you doing all of that? Or
honestly, it was a little bit challenging because again, it's like your first time author, your first time writer. It's like, okay, how do I do this? How do I write a book? But for me, what I would do, like when I go out take pictures, there's a location I want to like go to a park, right? I'll bring up my Google Docs and just write down notes that things I see, like just little bullet points. And then later on, maybe after that in the day or in the week, I'll go back, look at my notes and try, take what I got and actually try to make a sentence, make a paragraph out of it.
Wow.
It was one of the scenarios where I think as a writer, you realize you gotta learn to take your time, go at your own pace.
Right. Right.
Before you burn yourself out, because some individuals can sit at a computer and write for hours and hours. That's not me.
Right.
I mean, now I'm working again, of course, but for me, it's like, okay, if I can spend a few hours, maybe every 3 or 4 weeks in a PC cafe, writing a page what I got, then I can do that because that works for me. Because again, also I'm back to work full time now, so.
I understand. Well, look, let me throw this question in really quickly, and then I'm gonna turn it back over to Chris. But my question is, what is the most unique or the thing that sticks out to you the most about where you are now in South Korea? Like, is there a specific place that you like everybody should go to since you're there that you've really taken to, or what's that one place within South Korea that you love?
My favorite thing so far that I've done in Korea is I wrote this in my Daegu book. I talked about the Daegu Chimik Festival. It's a fried chicken and beer festival.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, you heard that right, y'all. Yeah. Okay. I hate stereotyping, but fortunately, South Koreans love fried chicken more than black people because, like, everywhere you go in Korea, like, you know how there's a joke in the hood, there's like drugstores and churches on every corner, right?
Right.
In terms of Korea, there's a fried chicken restaurant almost everywhere.
Wow.
Yeah. Franchises and mom and pop shops, independent shops. So you'll find them everywhere. So like, I think it was 2013, 2014, they started like a music festival for fried chicken and beer festival.
Wow.
Yeah, so look, hey, so you guys have been sleeping on South Korea, man. Hey, the chicken and beer is there.
Let's go.
Doors open.
Yeah, that and the hiking too. Like South Korea is a very mountainous country, like hills and mountains everywhere. So if you're outdoorsman, if you love hiking, then South Korea, you're gonna have a field day here because you're gonna have a hard time choosing what trail you want to go to because there's so many to choose from.
Wow. This is
Yeah, that's
awesome.
cool. While we're on this topic, and I'm kind of transitioning a little bit as well.
Yeah.
Have you found it difficult at all to adjust to the culture? Again, you mentioned you saw that there was a need for Black travel guides, and that essentially there was an untapped market, and so that kind of spawned your notion to even write this book and become a writer and an author. But as part of that process, even culturally, being in a new country, not many people there. I'm assuming, not like yourself. Was that kind of culture shock for you? How has that adjustment been for you?
Oh yeah, of course. Especially when I moved back in May 2016 to Korea. It was a culture shock because you're going from the USA, where like it's like diversity, like you see like once a little bit everybody, right, to a homogenous nation like Korea, where like everybody looks the same, and if you don't look Korean, people are gonna stare, right? And I mentioned both my books that like yes, as a person, people of color will get more looks. We go, especially if you got certain features like if you're tall and black. If you got darker skin tone, if you have like dreads or like a unique, afro or type of unique black hairstyles, right? It's mostly just, and that this doesn't just happen in Korea. This happens also in Japan, China, Vietnam. Mostly because again, they never seen about somebody who looks like us on a regular basis, so it's not very common. Now, in my case, I'm like 2 meters, 6'7" tall, 6'7", right? So even in the big cities of capital Seoul, like people stare at me mostly because. I mean, there are more black people in Seoul, but again, because I'm tall and black, I get a lot of looks.
Right. Do they think that you play basketball? It's like, are you a basketball player?
Yeah. Yeah, and unfortunately, I think it was before 2018, I had students comparing me like as an Obama teacher or like LeBron James. And then when Black Panther dropped, oh my God, when Black Panther dropped, it changed to teacher, Black Panther, teacher, Wakanda teacher. Now I teach elementary students. I'm like, okay, I hate these kids right now. But you know how kids be. But at the same time, it's like, okay, you can't really be too upset because, again, most of the time, especially when it comes to ESL, like my job, right? A lot of Korean students never had a black teacher, non-white teacher.
Right.
Because in terms of population size, like there are more white teachers teaching Korea than non-white teachers. There are black teachers, don't get me wrong, but in terms of the job market, in terms of jobs and applications, there's still, even to this day, this is always going to be more purpose for a white person, particularly a white girl from America or Canada. So in a lot of cases, in some previous jobs I had, I was their first black teacher that they had, or non-white teacher they had.
Wow.
And this is outside of Seoul and Busan, even, especially.
Okay. So how has this experience shaped your worldview? Like the way you look at the world with you being in Korea?
Yeah. I would say it's both big and small at the same time.
Okay.
Because it's a big world, different cultures, different countries, different languages, right? But we still got the same drama, same BS that we deal with back home, wherever we go. You got crazy family drama. You got some great students. You got some terrible students who need the belt that badly. Yeah, it's that bad. And of course, like me, I'm in the gaming culture, so I've been to a few Pokemon and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate tournaments here in Korea. So we're pretty much similar, just different language, just different skin tones.
Makes sense.
And also, I think at the same time, it's also a good opportunity to educate because unfortunately in South Korea, many still kind of believe in stereotypes about other cultures. So for example, if they see a white girl, they probably think, oh, she must be Russian and possibly a prostitute or something like that. And of course, for black people, it depends. Either you're Black American or you're all black people from Africa.
Yeah.
Wow. And we're poor, one's poor African people. I'm like, no. And of course, I had showed some students some videos and pictures like, yes, there are poor African people, and here's Africa. This is the Africa you don't know about. And they didn't believe me.
Wow.
Oh, no, true story. True story. This happens a lot here in Korea. Like, one of my friends, Jared, he's a white guy from South Africa. He told me that every time there's the first day of classes, they didn't believe that there's a white person from South Africa. That a white person can be from Africa. Yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So kind of back to again, you stepping into this author, putting on this author hat, and becoming published, and again, mentioning that you a need or untapped market as far as travel guides. Would you have any advice for kind of up and coming writers or authors as far as going through that process? Any advice you want to share or give to those viewers that may be watching right now?
Well, find niche that works for you. What are you good at writing at? Now, just something that works for you, and figure out how to tap into that market. What's something that makes your story, your writing different than everybody else? That makes it unique. Give it like your own personal touch. One of my friends, she asked me before, like, why is this only in Black people? Why not just make a general travel guide? I told her, one, it's an untapped market for sure. And I remember, I think it was called the Mandela Market Research Institute that said African American tourism has the power to be about $6 to $7 billion industry. Like I read this, I think that was back in 2019, 2020 study about that. And that's what inspired me to get into that, because it's like, yeah, that's right, because more African Americans are traveling more than ever before. It's a neat untapped market. And two, if I just wrote a travel guide that made it for everybody, it wouldn't be personal. Like it wouldn't make me stand out. Like I'll be in a sea of other travel guides you see for everybody. Like I basically would be like another independent version of the Lonely Planet or Nat Geo, stuff like that. So that wouldn't make me stand out as hard.
Yeah.
Oh, and also make sure you have a good book cover. Like, don't cheap out on the book cover. Like, if you have a limited budget, I understand, but remember, the first impression is usually almost always the book cover. Like, let's be honest.
That visual draws them in.
Yeah.
Laura, did you have any more questions?
No, I'm good. I think I got all of them out.
So I feel like I got one more, and then we'll kind of let you tell people how they can find you. But what would be the overall takeaway that you want readers of your book or your travel guide to kind of to leave with? What experience would you want to kind of them to really, take away from reading your works?
Well, for one, now this book can be read by anybody. So let's make it clear. Anybody can read this. It has no one readers. Check it out, of course. But my book is more just like a personal travel guide that anybody can enjoy, have a good time, or just give you a quick escape from the crazy life that we've been dealing with right now. So maybe I'll give you like a little hope. I'm hoping my goal really with my books is like really to encourage more Black people, particularly African Americans, to travel. And if I can give this one person to get the passport and go travel the world, then I honestly call it a win more than anything.
That's awesome.
I would say or if you got a chance, go pick up a copy on Amazon. The ebooks, the Black Traveler's Guide to Incheon, Incheon, and the Black Traveler's Guide to Daegu, Daegu, to Daegu, South Korea. You can find them on ebook formats on Amazon right now. And you can follow me on Instagram or TikTok at the Blerd Explorer.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us once again. As always, let's continue to read, let's learn, let's grow, and let's have a discussion here on Four Friends in a Book. Thank you.